Victoria, it's an absolute honor to have you here today. You've built this incredible fortune and a life that's an inspiration to so many. Let's start by talking about a moment when everything wasn't going as planned. We've all faced setbacks, but I imagine your journey has some particularly tough ones.
Oh, Alex, let me tell you, my journey is paved with setbacks. But if I had to choose just one, I'd say the Paris Project in 2010. At 36, I just come off a string of successes and thought I had the Midas touch. I invested nearly $2 million into opening what I envisioned as the luxury boutique hotel. The idea was ambitious, a place where history and modern opulence collided. My gut told me to hold off. The location wasn't ideal, and the market wasn't ready. But I ignored it. I was swept up in the excitement and, frankly, the ego of it all. Long story short, it failed spectacular.
That must have been devastating. How did you even begin to recover from something like that?
Devastating barely scratches the surface. I'll never forget sitting in my hotel suite, staring at spreadsheets that looked like crime scenes. For weeks, I was paralyzed with self-doubt. I'd built my career on being a visionary, yet here I was questioning my every decision. But here's the thing. Failure has this sneaky way of teaching you. It's brutal, but it's honest. My gut was screaming at me to stop before things went south, and I didn't listen. That's when I learned my first golden rule. Always trust you. They're not just feeling. They're subconscious calculations based on everything you've experienced and learned. Once I understood that, I started building myself.
It's fascinating to hear how you turned failure into a learning experience. Do you think that's what separates successful people from others?
Absolutely. Successful people don't avoid failure. They leverage it. I always say failure is feedback. It's like a mirror showing you what's not working. After Paris, I didn't jump straight into another big project. I went back to basics. I spent months analyzing what went wrong and rethinking my approach. When I launched my next venture, a wellness retreat in Bali, I applied every lesson I'd learned. And guess what? That retreat is now one of my most profitable properties.
You've mentioned intuition several times. How do you balance gut feelings with data and analysis? Isn't there a risk of being overly emotional?
Great question, Alex. Intuition and data aren't opposing forces. They're complementary. Think of your gut as a first filter. It's like a little voice saying something's off here. Then you turn to data to validate or challenge that feeling. Before, believe my gut told me the concept was solid, but I still did extensive market research to confirm there was demand. It's about blending the two. Neither can stand alone.
Let's shift gears a bit. Looking back, what's the biggest piece of advice you'd give to your younger self starting out in business?
Oh, where do I begin? I'd probably sit her down with a cup of coffee and say, slow down, Victoria. When I was in my 20s, I thought success meant moving fast, launching projects, expanding, conquering markets. But building something meaningful takes time. One mistake I made early on was expanding too quickly. In 2005, I opened 3 properties in a single year without having the infrastructure to support them. Within 18 months, 2 of them folded. That taught me the importance of intentional growth. It's better to do one thing exceptionally well than to do 10 things poorly.
Intentional growth. That's such an important lesson. But I imagine it's hard to resist the pressure to keep up with competitors or expectations.
Oh, the pressure's relentless. Everyone, investors, partners, even friends, will tell you to go bigger, faster. But here's the thing, you can't let other people's timelines dictate your path. I used to think success was about outpacing your, but now I realize it's about alignment. Are your actions aligned with your vision, your values, and your capacity? If they're not, it doesn't matter how fast you're moving.
That's so empowering. Speaking of empowerment, you've built a reputation for championing women in business. Why is that so important to you?
Because I've been there. I've been the only woman in boardrooms filled with skepticism. I've been underestimated, overlooked, and even mocked. But those moments fueled me. They made me more determined to succeed. And now that I've reached a certain level, I feel a responsibility to make the path easier for others. That's why I mentor young women and invest in female-led startups. It's not just about giving back. It's about creating a ripple effect of empowerment.
That's incredible. But surely even now, with all your success, you still face critics. How do you handle negativity?
Critics are a given, Alex, especially in the age of social media. I remember after a high-profile interview a few years ago, I made the mistake of reading the comments. One person called me a fraud. Another said I was lucky. Not one guy even wrote, "I hope she loses it all." Can you imagine? At first it stung, but then I realized that successful people don't waste time tearing others down. Criticism often says more about the critic than it does about you. Now I focus on constructive feedback and let the rest go.
That's such a healthy perspective. So, what drives you today? You've achieved so much. What keeps you motivated?
It's not about the money anymore, don't get me wrong. Financial success is wonderful, but what really drives me is creation and impact. I want to build things that outlive me, whether that's a hotel, a foundation, or a legacy of inspiring others. I've reached a point where my focus is less on what can I get and more on what can I give.
That's beautiful. If someone listening right now wanted to take the leap into entrepreneurship, what's the one piece of advice you'd give them?
Start where you are with what you have. So many people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect circumstances, but perfection is a myth. You'll never feel 100 ready, and that's okay. Take the first step, then the next, and above all, be clear on what you want. Too often, people chase goals that aren't even theirs, goals shaped by parents, peers, or society. Life's too short for that.
Such practical wisdom. Before we wrap up, what does success mean to you now at 50?
Success is waking up excited for the day ahead. It's having the freedom to create, to give back, and to enjoy the people and things that matter most. And above all, is being at peace with yourself. When you can look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of who I am and the life I've built, that's success.
Victoria, this has been such an enlightening conversation. Thank you for sharing your journey, your insights, and your wisdom with us today.
Thank you, Alex. If my story can inspire even one person to take charge of their life and dreams, then it's all been worth it.
Victoria, before we close, I always like to ask my guest one final question. If you could encapsulate your life philosophy into a single phrase or mantra, what would it be?
That's a tough one, Alex, but I'd say dream big, act boldly, and never stop learning. Life is an evolution, and every day is an opportunity to grow, to give, and to create something meaningful. If you hold on to that, there's no limit to what you can achieve.
What a perfect way to end. Thank you again, Victoria, for this incredible conversation. Your journey is truly inspiring, and I know our audience will take so much away from it.
Thank you, Alex. It's been a pleasure. And to anyone listening, your story is still being written. Make it a great.
Beautifully said. Until next time, everyone, keep dreaming and keep building. Victoria's journey shows that true success goes beyond wealth. It's about resilience, passion, and living authentically. Inspired by her story. Subscribe to LEVVA for more incredible insights and life advice from those who've mastered the art. Join us, and let's build a meaningful and fulfilling life together.